Good evening everybody, welcome back to TTTV. This is TTL F1 and this is the Season 13 finale here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix at the Yas Marina circuit. My name is Kieran McGinley. Tej will be joining me in the box, he'll be here very shortly. And well, at the 21 turned Yas Marina circuit, the fireworks will be going off pretty much at the end of the race, which will close down on a season that has been dominated, it's fair to say, by Jack. Now, I'm not sure whether he's here tonight. We are hopefully waiting for a couple more people. Siege is actually joining us back as well after a little bit of time away, so good to see him back. Recon as well joining us. Sean back for this one. Charlie, George Roberts as well. Good to see them all back here for the season finale. And White as well in the Haas. It's going to be interesting as well because these drivers are still driving for their seats next season. They'll have to really impress the teams going into this final race. And of course on Thursday we do have what was supposed to be the planned mid-season Challenge Cup is now going to be the end of season Challenge Cup in the 2008 McLarens around Interlagos. But I think he's just come into the commentary box. I've heard the door open. Tej joins us in the box. Tej, how are you tonight?
Oh, very good, Kieran. I'm just having a little inspection of the track on the commentary box, and I must say it's absolutely blistering hot this evening here in Abu Dhabi. What a fantastic race we have in prospect, as we had a classic finale on Thursday evening with Recon and Siege running to the end, and also, sorry, Spike, not Siege, I do apologise. We also had a good race on Tuesday as well at Mexico. I think the drivers here, even though at the end of the season here, the titles have been decided, we've still been treated to some fantastic racing, and hopefully we can see the end of the season with more great racing.
Absolutely, and just to go through some of those championship standings, if I bring the tables up, you've got the battles all over the field at the moment. There's a battle for second place between Ollie and Spike, assuming Spike races tonight. You've also got the battle for fifth place between Maze, White, Siege and Lighty. Maze on 105 points in 5th place, Lighty in 8th on 93, so that'll be an interesting battle to watch, see if Maze can hold on to that 5th place. You've also got further down the field Nexus Pursuit and Zenki, they're 11th and 12th, also Alan K 13th, 45, 42 and 41 respectively. You've also got Fate, Plaster, Naz, they're on 28, 26 and 25 respectively. Graham could finish above Crazy Legs in this crazy season for Crazy. How many times can I say crazy? Yeah, only 2 points finishes for the two-time champion. Hopefully he'll make it 3. He'll be hoping. Dave M, who has been a reserve this season, scored 12 points so far. He joins us for the season finale as the reserve. So still quite a few battles left to decide all across the field. So we'll try and keep you up to date with every single battle as best we can. But there's so many of them, Tej. I don't think we're going to keep up with all of them.
No, it's going to be hard to keep up with, Kieran, especially now we've got a good turnout for the season finale. Not only that, Kieran, you've also got a race which is the last race of the season. There's drivers who have underachieved so far this season, and if they want to stay in the teams they are in, especially going into next season, they could do with finishing the season off with a good, strong performance. More specifically, especially the Ferrari drivers, who we've seen some glimmers of good performance from them last few weeks, but it seems to have just gone away somewhat with a retirement in Brazil. So the Ferrari boys were hoping to finish the season off in a nice way.
Absolutely. And as I said, battles for second place in the championship, battles for 5th place, battles further down the field, and of course, Tej, it's possibly one of their last chances to impress the new team bosses in for the next season, which will be on the new game F1 2019. So a big opportunity for all these teams and drivers.
No, absolutely. TTG is definitely the place to be come the new game launch, which I believe is next month. So we're going to have a new Formula 2, which is going to be the cars from Formula 2. Obviously, you're going to have the Formula 1, which is going to be the prestige tier of the races. So you're going to have the best of the TTG racing in Formula 1, and obviously the upcoming drivers racing in Formula 2. And what I am looking forward to tonight, Kieran, is that the last few weeks I have noticed that the Renault drivers have really been putting on some strong performance, and especially running the alternative strategy. So I expect that to happen tonight, and I'd like to see both the Renaults finishing the points to finish a strong season for the pair of them.
Absolutely, and Maze has just said to me, "Feel free to announce." Well, now I will. Of course, we do have the
Oh, sorry about
TT. No, it's fine. We do have the TTG series F1 and F2 that will be coming up next week. 4 rounds, quick, sharp events, and Tej, we're going to be going head to head in F2. Battle of the
that.
commentators being
Yeah,
hyped up as.
you know what? I was considering I'm away at the commentary box. I thought, should I start being nasty to him now, or should I wait till next weekend on the track? So I think we'll leave it till next week.
Leave it to next weekend before you do your heel turn, and then that'll be fine. I'll be the face, you be the heel.
Yeah.
There you go.
Steel chair to the back.
Battle for 19th for us two.
Yeah.
But that would be a fantastic way to round off the game. Obviously, you can keep up to date at TTL_F1. The announcement will be made on Twitter as well with all of the thumbnails. Teams and drivers are still yet to be decided, but I wonder if I can announce which team I've signed for. Will Maze let me announce the team I've signed for? What do you reckon, Maze?
No, I don't think he will.
Oh, okay. Well, it was worth a try, wasn't it? Anyway,
No,
yes,
go for it.
Marina.
Go on, you run yours. I'll announce mine.
Maze has given me the all clear. Yes, I've re-signed for Renault. Yes, of course I have. If you don't know, I did race in TTFL for a couple of races, and yeah, so I'm back in the racing seat on Thursday. So the Tuesday. So the TTG F2 races will happen on a Tuesday, and then the TTG F1 races will happen on the Thursday. So Ted, you and I, both in F2, both the commentators, we can put our money where our mouths is and finish bottom of the pack and prove to everyone why we should be in the commentary box.
Absolutely, and I turned down Renault to take the lead drive at McLaren, so we've obviously to settle for second best.
I mean, best of the Renault engines, surely.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, here we are then at one of the most awkward pit exits on the calendar. Where the pit exit goes underneath turn 1 there, and you emerge on the outside of turn 3. Remarkably though, in the real F1, it took us many seasons before we even came close to someone binning it into the wall at the bottom of the pit lane. So kudos to all the drivers then. I wonder if anyone can tell us in the chat who it was that broke the trend and actually did have a little bit of a collision in the pit lane.
Was it yourself?
It probably was myself, yeah. It does sound like something I would do. Oh dear. Anyway, there is Charlie making his way now out of the hairpin and along this long back straight into the DRS zone. And the thing about Abu Dhabi is, Spike has already said in the chat, he doesn't have the pace around this circuit. I won't comment on full what he actually said, but that's paraphrasing it, and that seems to be what other people are thinking. Kimi Räikkönen says the first sector's brilliant, the second sector is unbroadcastable.
Well,
Is that a fair assumption of Yas Marina here?
me personally, I'd like it personally. I'd imagine the drivers that took keen it because it doesn't really offer many overtaking opportunities. You obviously got the long back straight, so that's one of the primary. Apart from that, the second sector, it's all follow your leader, or unless you definitely want to go for it, you're just throwing up the inside. But it's been the last race of the season, Kieran. One would have to imagine the drivers will be throwing caution to the wind. Obviously, it'll still be safe, but it'll be nice to see an entertaining race as Dave M standing in for Jack this week, Kieran. He's just started his flying lap.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave M then coming down towards turns 5 and 6. It's it's a pretty difficult circuit to get a hold of. Obviously, you come now to the hairpin of turn 7. This might be a good overtaking opportunity. However, the detection zone is just in the braking zone of the hairpin. So if you can make a move into the hairpin, compromise the other car's exit, you've got the DRS down towards turn 8.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very twisty, turny circuit. It's one of those where if you do take the outside line, Kieran, as you just alluded to, it's like it does pay off dividends to give the driver the run, because I'm expecting with the DRS detection zone, you might see a bit of tactical placement of the car to make sure they do get the second one to the DRS, as Dave now just comes up to corners 15 and 16. No, 12 and 11, sorry, I do apologise. There's a recon close behind. This one there might be a bit of turbulent air which could be affecting recon's quick lap, but we won't really know that till they cross the line. So the standing Mercedes driver for this weekend, Kieran, what do we know about Dave?
Well, Dave has scored 12 points this season. He has been a reserve for the entirety of the season. He's had stints at other teams as well. And, well, Dave does like being in the points. He loves it there. And he's currently on the ultra soft tyre, hoping for a good point-scoring finish today. He's in the Mercedes, so that pressure's on. And the pressure is being met there, 135.3. Remember, on the, well, I call them the option 2 tyres. And I've come up with this clever system of naming all the tyres. Probably the last race we'll use these tyres on this game. So that is efficiency at its finest.
Absolutely. Nods of approval from Total Wolf in the garage there. Potentially a driver to look out for next season in the Mercedes. One has to presume. Not that we're going to be starting rumours this weekend, Kieran. It would be nice to get the old top turn into who we believe could be placed. As TTG Spike in the system Mercedes with a 134.6. Total Wolf looks on and thinks, yep, that's my man. As Siege in the Red Bull and Mercedes have been fantastic these last few weeks of the season, Kieran. They've always been right behind each other, and Siege joins Spike on the front row.
Absolutely, it is good to see Siege back in the Red Bull. He's been away for a little bit of time. He's back for the season finale as he makes his way now down towards 5 and 6. A little bit more about Dave M, as Maze has quite rightfully posted in the chat. He was this season's TTL F2 runner-up, finishing second to one Recon, who obviously we know about Recon. He's already had one race win in TTL F1, so he's shown that he's capable to make the move up. And Dave M, with 12 points this season as a reserve here, is now got to prove himself that he can race among the best in TTL.
Absolutely, Kieran. It also shows that F2 is working dividends when you have two drivers step up from F2 in the shape of Recon and Dave M, and then automatically straight away they are competitive at the front of the grid, which is fantastic to see as commentators and as viewers to the league. Kieran, it's nice to have a competitive grid. We all know that. As Alan K goes 5th on a 137 on the super soft, so Alan K getting his banker lap out, and Charlie H in the Sauber puts it in 5th place with a 137.0 also on the super softs.
Yeah, Charlie, 1 point this season. He'll be battling out with George Roberts here to take the wooden spoon, but they both have shown that consistency to finish in the points as well. They've been there in the points when they needed to be, and that's the important thing. To score points in this series, you really do have to finish.
That's it, Keelan. And one thing I've noticed in recent weeks, and I've alluded to it in recent streams, is that consistency is what pays dividends. Because you see a lot of drivers where they're making mistakes, they'll come together, and rather than try and rescue the race and go on like a 2-stop or a 3-stop chat, you try and take home the last few points, which do accumulate. If you start finishing 9th, 10th in a few races where you've had a few misdemeanors, those points will accumulate. And you find some drivers who've got strong guile, who've stuck with it, and they've managed to get the points come the end of the races, which has really done well for them in this championship, to stand them in good stead also moving forward to next season.
Well, Ollie, obviously we saw at USA, he suffered from force feedback issues on his wheel. It meant he had to retire from the US Grand Prix altogether. He hasn't made a league appearance since, and going into the last round of the season, the gap between himself and Spike is 16 points, which means if Spike finishes second or higher tonight, he will take second place spot in the championship. And he's been talking to us in Commentator's Corner. He doesn't want to take second place away whilst Ollie isn't here. He'd rather battle him on track for it, but what it looks like today, second place or higher, he'll finish runner-up.
No, absolutely, and it's a shame to not see Ollie racing with us, Kieran, because he's obviously, in the races we've been commentating on, he's had some fantastic performances at Singapore and Japan, and also on that, like you say, you like to have a grid stacked with top quality races, which is what we do have here. So it's a shame for Ollie not to turn up to last few races, but unfortunately he's had technical issues with his wheel, and we all hope, and I'm sure yourself, Kieran, that he'll be back next season, and we look forward to seeing him battle it out on the track with the rest of the racers.
And we'll have to see which team will try and sign him. Meanwhile then, Spike proving that Mercedes should keep him 134.2 at the moment, but he has been on those ultra soft tyres for 3 laps now, the option 2 tyres, the middle ground. And yep, I think this is just him saying, you know what, I'm going to do a little bit of a stint on these tyres, see what the tyre wear is like at full attack. But now it looks like he's running out of fuel, and he'll be heading back to the pit lane. there is Dave Emming making his way around the final corner and towards the start-finish line to start a new flying lap on those Hypersoft tyres, the Option 1 tyres, if you want to call them that way. I've devised a naming system at the last round of the season. It's perfect. It's perfect.
I'm quite surprised as well, Kieran, that we're only 8 minutes and 50 seconds ago of the session. A lot of drivers still not come out on the pitch yet. I mean, you have to imagine that they will be looking for the alternative strategy at the moment. Hopefully, they will come out, and they could possibly be waiting for a bit of track evolution, because we do know the more cars that go out on track, the more rubbered in it'll be, and the more performance you'll get come the end of the session. So let's just keep an eye on that. The likes of Light, Sean, and George Roberts, who are yet to show.
Absolutely, and if you are watching the YouTube video and you've seen the wrong thumbnail, that's my doing. I'm working to change that. That's the first time that's ever happened, so I'm working on it, don't you worry. You, in the meanwhile, can watch Recon on the Option 1 tyres, now making his way towards this 16 and 17 section. Very tricky braking zone here as you now head down towards turn 17. Just talk us through the rest of the lap then.
Yeah, you're going to be looking for a third gear entry into here. Don't really lift it, you can take it flat in third as well. Drive up to 6th gear, hug the left, throw it in, drop down to 4th, kiss the apex. Might be just run wide just a little bit, gives you a nice run in for the final corner. Keep it as tight as you can, because you don't run wide and validate your lap. And across the line goes Recon on provisional pole with a 1:33.5 on the Option 1 tyre.
Pole position then for Recon. Already one win this season, and he's certainly proved the step up is doable from F2 to F1. So he'll be looking to try and really sign for those top teams. And it'll be interesting to see, because it's one of the first seasons, or it's the second season actually, that F2 drivers have come up and tried to make their stand in F1 as Alan Kay comes towards the line. 1:37.0, just a couple of thousandths off Charlie then in the Sauber. And it's proving to be a task for them, but in terms of Recon and in terms of Dave, they're stepping up to the mark, which is, as we've mentioned, really good to see.
Well, Recon, he's been one of the drivers who I've been most impressed with since I've been commentating alongside yourself, Kieran. I'd also say Fate Benfica, he's also been, he was unfortunate at Singapore. He had a good race. He was also unfortunate at Brazil. He had a good strong, even with difference in the podium, he did really well to make the one-stop strategy last. But I think Recon, come the end of season with some of the big teams, I think he'll definitely be hot property, as well as Sean as well, because I think Sean's definitely one of the drivers who's impressed me in these last few weeks of commentating. And I must say, I don't want to single out individual drivers, but the grid and the whole, they've all been fantastic to commentate on, and I look forward to commentating on some of them next season in F2 with yourself as well, Kieran.
Our thumbnail has been sorted, and it only took until season 13, round 21. Mark it in your diaries. The day the wrong thumbnail went up. That's all my fault. Ah well, what can you do? Lighty then, who is battling away for 5th place in the title standings, in the driver's standings that is. He's got a bit of a battle on his hands. He's got Maze ahead of him. He's also got Siege and White there all here tonight. So that was the worst possible thing for Lighty. He is currently, and I'm trying to work this out as I'm talking, he's 12 points behind Maze at the moment. And we've seen with these drivers, we've seen Maze almost get close to a podium. We've seen the Force Indians have a torrid time recently, but they're sort of down on their form. We've seen White win a race this season already, and Siege is ready to come back and try and claim 5th place.
No, absolutely, Kieran. And like you alluded to there, the Force Indians in qualifying trim, they've been great. They've been solid. They've been in and around the top 6. But when it comes to the races, Kieran, one thing we've noticed in the last few weeks, that it seems to just fall away. It could be a lack of race preparation or strategy, but we even saw in Japan when they ran into each other in the Senna S's. Some of those things shouldn't really be happening when you reach the top tier of Formula 1 racing. And imagine next season, if you're going to stay together, or even in future, they could be in different teams or whatever. I imagine the drivers themselves will be looking to try and make sure they get the best in race performance and get some solid points on the board, because we both know that they do have the speed, they do have the talent. It's just putting it into practice and making good when the races come round.
Maze then getting a little bit tail happy through that chicane there, riding a Renault through that chicane section. It's not something I would have wanted to do, but after the last time an F1 car of this stature, of that team, went through that chicane alongside a Haas. It didn't quite end up the way Nico Hulkenberg would have liked, but may as well be hoping for a little bit better luck, and also that a car flipping is something that doesn't really happen in TTL, thankfully.
Yeah, we're not exactly going to be replicating life. It's not happened as of yet, and we hope it doesn't happen at all, because that would be not very nice to see, and especially the quality of the races we have. We imagine that won't ever happen. As I'm just on board with Spike at the moment, Kieran is really ragging the Mercedes. The rear straps stick out, but he's keeping it on the track. He's in level 5 ERS, he's really going for it on the super soft. He's going to try and beat his banker lap, which he's done on the ultra soft, so he's got the Toro Rosso in front of him. Hopefully it won't put him off. So just gone wide, touch, he reaches the penultimate corner there, keeps it in third gear, fourth, up to sixth. Now he's going to try and kiss the apex on the left and throw it right into the right hander. Keep it as tight as you can, just touch the apex, run wide again at the final corner, aim for the line as fast as you can. No, he decides to pit, so the Toro Rosso in front must have put him off. He might have got in the dirty air and sent his car a bit sideways, but imagine he's got enough time to try and go out and do another lap, because you have 3 minutes left of the session, and we're still yet to see Plaster in the Ferrari. Like he's just currently doing his out lap. He just stopped at the moment on track just to allow a car through. But he'll be hoping that the Sauber repays him a favour when it comes to his lap. And TTG Sean has decided to come out and also missed turn 5. Decided to go straight on there. Let's pick him up, and he's currently behind the Toro Rosso, so he'll be hoping to try and get 1, possibly 2 laps, as he is on the Hypersoft, so the Ultra Soft, so they do have good durability here, so we will be looking to try and get a fast lap, and if not, he does have it in the bank to try and go for another one, Keelan.
Yeah, absolutely. Just touching on Spike then on those super soft tyres. He did actually lock up and the sort of opposite lock in towards turn 17, which would have put him off the braking zone altogether then. I think that's why he sort of abandoned that lap in the end, and yeah, locking up there big time. Just the rear didn't like slowing down that quickly, decided to throw it out, and yeah, I think that's the reason he abandoned that lap. And also on those option 3 tyres, the super soft tyres, it was unlikely that he was going to set a faster time than he has done on the option 2 tyres.
Yeah, he's decided to come back out as well, Kieran, so we're going to have a grandstand finale in qualifying. Hopefully Recon comes back out. Recon's coming out as well, so we've got a minute 50 left of the session. Don't move where you are, because the top 5 of the grid so far all coming out on what appears to be the Hypersoft, so we're going to see all 5 of them, line of stern, coming across the finishing line, Kieran, so could be in for a bit of a feast and a treat in the end of season qualifying.
Charlie then up to 6th, a 136.1 on those ultra soft, the option 2 tyres, as he puts himself ahead of Mays, who's qualified on the same tyre, usually 136.5 in 8th place. Graham 136.6 on the option 1 tyres. Alan Kay 137.0 on option 3 tyres. George Roberts just retired from the session, 137.7 on option 1 tyres. Blaster still in the pits, so he's not taking any part in qualifying today. And it looks like if Lighty and Sean don't post lap times, we'll be starting in P12 at the moment. But Lighty just trying to guide his way there through turns 8 and 9, now through the left-hander of 10, in the DRS zone as we head our way all the way towards turn 11. Really good opportunity here to try and go side by side. I've seen 3 wide here, I know, in TTL a few seasons back. And we head through 13 in towards turn 14 now. And these curbs then are here to be attacked then as we ride on board with the Force India now, going through 15, through 16 and into the braking zone of turn 17 now. Very tricky set of corners to get absolutely right as you now head through the left-hander of turn 18, through the left-hander of turn 19. Short run now down towards turn 20. You can use that blue bit of tarmac to try and widen that exit then and build the speed up, as we now had with Lighty around turn 21. Tricky corner to get right. Apex is later than you think as Lighty heads towards the line. It's P6 then, 134.9 on a set of ultra soft tyres. That's only 3/10 slower than White, who was qualified on the option 1 tyres. Recon on a flying lap. Spike is as well. Has he made it? No, he hasn't. Spike has not made it to the checkered flag in time, and that's it. His lap time is over, so he will be starting no higher than 2nd place. Siege is on a flying lap then. Dave M is out there. He's now heading down towards turn 11. What about White? He's just heading out of turn 9 through the left-hander of turn 10. Lighty is still going for it. He's now heading down towards turn 8 now. What about Charlie? He's pulled to the side. He's done with qualifying. Graham now coming towards the line, and it's a 1:37.1, so it's slower than his personal best, and he starts outside of the top 10. Alan Kay on a set of hypersofts now, coming around turn 14. Plaster, of course, took no part in qualifying. We've got Lighty up to 6th place. Sean in 7th place, by the way, 1:35.5, and we'll see if he's on a flying lap. He is, but his ERS charge is very, very low. Let's have a look at Recon here, who's on a lap. Siege has come into the pits and retired from the session altogether. Dave then, 1:34.3. And that puts him 4th place then. How about Recon? He's now coming around the final corner. You've got the Renault there of Alan Kay, I believe that is. As White then up to 2nd place. Recon, can he hold on? It's 0.03 of a second slower than his personal best then. He holds on to pole position for now. Lighty then is slowly making his way back towards the pit lane. Sean, I believe, is still on a flying lap. No, he's backed off, lifted off and coasting now back towards the pit lane. Meanwhile, Charlie is simply put out of fuel, so he'll be slowly crawling his way back, and he's actually going to pull off to the side here and probably retire from the session, as that's a Force India there. Is that? No, it's not. It's a Sauber. There you go. It's the Sauber of Charlie. Yeah. Is it? No, it's not. It's the Sauber of Graham. That's who it is, going through your picture. But that is the end of qualifying then, and Recon qualifies on pole position on the Hypersoft tyres.
He's going all out for it, Kieran. He's going to try and finish the season off with a bang. Try to show those big teams that I'm the next big thing, and you want to get me in your car. But at the end of that, Kieran, it's been a fantastic qualifying session. Last one of the season, the last one of this game for TTL, and we look forward to the next one. Commentate with yourself on the F2 next season, so I'll let you run down the drivers.
Absolutely. Recon then on pole position. White in 2nd. Spike then in 3rd. Missing out on his Hypersoft run by seconds. But it's Siege in 4th. Pulled off after his flying lap. Then Dave in 5th. Lighty 6th with Sean in 7th. Alan Kay in 8th. Using 9th. And Charlie rounds out the top 10. Then it's Mays in 11th. Graham in 12th. George Robertson 13th. And Plaster did not leave the pit lane during that qualifying session, which means he'll start from the back of the grid and 14th place.
We alluded to it earlier on in the session, team, and how the Force Indians can really get it together and qualifying trim, and like to get it up there in 6th place. It's a very strong performance from the Force India, so hopefully as the lone one today, he'll be looking for a strong performance to tail out his season.
Well then, let's note in the comments then, who do you think is going to win the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix? Spike, of course, got his first win of the season last time out at Interlagos. He has to finish 2nd or higher to claim 2nd place in the championship. We've got the battle for 5th place, of course, between Mays, Lighty, Siege, and of course White there. Mays on 105 in 5th, White on 100 points in 6th, Siege in 7th on 98, Lighty in 8th on 93. Recon then in the Williams is currently 9th place, and at the moment maximum he could score is 96 points, which if it stays as it is, he could jump Lighty. So if Recon wins the race and Lighty pretty much doesn't finish, then he's got a good chance of grabbing 8th place there. Let's have a look at other standings we can see. I believe Plaster, yes, he can jump Fate there with a 7th place finish if he can get there. Sorry, an 8th place finish will get him and jump him ahead of Fate there in the Williams. You've got Graham then. He's got a big task on his hands. He's got to score 12 points, so that's a 4th place finish for him if he wants to try and jump Naz in the standings at the end. Yuzi 13 points this season. He starts in 9th place. If he finishes there, he will jump Crazy at least into 18th place and has a possibility of jumping Graham there depending on the results and the count back for 17th place. Dave M then has a good chance as well. He of course qualified in 5th place, reserved for the Mercedes. A good performance from him today could see him jump all the way up to 17th place, maybe even 16th place in the standings, and well, he could really put himself up the table with a really good result today. Going through into the drivers then, let's see what tyres are on. Of course, as always, the top 10 have to start on the tyre they qualified on and their fastest lap there. So Recon starting on a set of Hypersofts, as is White. Both of them have 2 wins between them, as they really went back-to-back. Spike then picking up his first race win at Interlagos. He'll be wanting to making it back-to-back wins then. Siege in this battle for 5th place, 6th in the standings, 5 points behind Maze, and he wants to make this a good opportunity to try and wrap up 5th place in the standings. Dave M then, as we said, wants to get up those standings, and he's got a good chance today if he can get this car to the end. Lighty then on the ultra soft tyres, as is Sean behind him. Sean in 4th place in the standings, cannot be caught, I do believe, in 4th place. So it's been a fantastic season for him. So he'll be wanting to just round off this one with a fun one. He starts in 7th place. Alan K on the Hypersofts. Now we know how good Alan is on the tyres and how long he can make them last. Usually in 9th place on the Hypersofts. Charlie in 10th on Ultrasofts. Maze starting outside the top 10. He's starting on the Supersofts and the only driver to do so. He'll be looking to try that lenient one-stop strategy. Graham and George Roberts both starting on Ultrasofts, as is Plaster, at the back of the grid. But we're now forming onto the grid now for the final race of season number 13, and for TTL F1, the final race on F1 2018. It's been a roller coaster here on F1 2018. We've had races galore, and the safety car has made an appearance once or twice. Remember back to Belgium as well, where half the field got wiped out. Let's hope that doesn't happen tonight then, as we head now towards the 5 red lights here in Yas Marina under the floodlights here. Of course, it is a Twilight Grand Prix. Dusk to complete pitch black as the 5 red lights now start to count up for the final race of season 13. Round 21 is underway, and what are the starts like? Looks like it's a fantastic start from Recon then, as he goes to move across White to try and take the lead. White though goes up the inside, and they make little contact then in towards turn 1 as we now fly through turns 2 and 3 on the run now down towards turns 4 and then through turn 5. Spike then up to 3rd as he tries to hold off Siege then behind him. Watch out for Lighty as he makes a move up the inside of Siege. Now it's around the outside as we now head down towards turn 7. Then he's up the inside. Lighty and Siege do make a little bit of contact as Lighty tries to go up the inside, and he does. He gets past Siege then. That's a good start from the Force India. Graham, by the way, getting past Maze. Of course, Maze starting on some super soft tyres, so he would have struggled for traction towards the end of that one. Meanwhile, Sean here is trying to now find a way up the inside in towards turn 8 on the inside of the Red Bull then, as he looks to make that move done, and he has done. Siege then struggling for traction, it seems, because Dave's gone right around the outside on the exit of turn 9, and Siege is now down to 7th place. He might leave himself open now for Alan K as we head now down towards turn 11. We see the Force India of Lighty having a look up the inside of Spike then in towards turn 11. No dice though, as Dave M now tries to launch an attack on Sean as he runs very wide on the exit of turn 13 there, heading in towards 14. And now here's where it gets interesting through this fast 15 and 16. Who's the last of the late breakers as we head towards 17 here? Will anybody lock up on this first lap as the brakes are slightly cold? No, doesn't look like anybody has done, but Lighty really close now to the back of Spike, looking to try and put him under pressure. Remember, Spike has to finish 2nd or higher in this race, and he will claim runners-up trophy in this season, of course, as Recon heads towards the start-finish line to start the 2nd lap of the race. And Siege has actually come into the pits. Now, I wonder if he had tyre issues at the very start. I wonder, we have a look at the Red Bull then. Ongo, yeah, I think those, oh, it is damaged. Front wing, you were right. So Siege has suffered damage. That's probably why he was struggling, as Dave M does some bunny hops there on the exit down towards turn 4 then, really testing that suspension on the Mercedes. That's something Jack didn't really do, but I think he'll know now for next season that the suspension might need to be a little bit softer. But at the end of lap 1 then, Recon leads, White in 2nd, Spike 3rd, Lighty 4th, Sean 5th, Dave in 6th, Alan K 7th, Yuzi 8th, Charlie 9th, Graham 10th, Maze 11th, George Roberts 12th, Plaster 13th, and Siege, who's just visited the pit lane, is 14th place. All 14 runners who started this race are currently still running.
Yeah, it was important for White to have a look up the inside of Recon at the start queue, and it was the chance was almost half one. He must have known, if I'm going to have to get past him, you're going to have to be at the start, so he decided to go for it. Recon held his line, held him off, and obviously Recon's got a 1.4 second gap, so he's managed to run away. White must have known he was going to run away if he didn't catch up to him. Lighty made a fantastic start up from 6th place. Just like to talk about the damage that I believe Siege must have got. I think he's in the run down to turn 4. I think Spike was trying to cover the inside. and then the outside, because he thought both Light and Spike were going to come at him at the same time, and unfortunately with the siege he ended up going into the back of Spike, and I think he must have got a bit of damage on his end plate. So he's going to start from, so now he's in 40th place, so he's going to look to recover and try and get as many points as he can. But obviously we've seen the quick starting Sean up to 5th place in the Haas, so 2 Haas runners in the top 5, fantastic performance for them so far. And we see Dave M, the reserve driver of the Mercedes this week, in 6th place with Alan Kay. Very good starting from the Renault driver, currently in 7th place.
Absolutely, and DRS of course is enabled on lap number 3 as George Roberts here looks to put some pressure under Mays. Mays of course wants to hold on to 5th place in the championship as Dave M picks up a 3-second time penalty as they now head down towards turn 4 and then through the braking zone of turn number 5. George Roberts decides it's not a good idea. He's on those option 2 tyres, so if he wanted to put pressure on Mays, he knows that he has to really get past Mays if he wants to make his strategy work, because he'll be on the option 3 tyres at some point in this race, you would think. In any case, I think George Roberts might opt for the safer 2-stop, but meanwhile Charlie is closing on Yuzi here as he pulls to the right hand side on the run down towards turn 8 here. Looks like Charlie has a bit of pace about him today, slightly deep into turn 8, but it allows him to park on the apex for turn 9, and as we head now through the left-hander of turn 10, Yuzi will have some DRS, but now Graham and the Saubers here, it looks like they're working together for now. They want to try and get past this Toro Rosso. Charlie, meanwhile, has a bit of defending on his hands here as Yuzi now tries to go up the inside of turn 11, puts him on the outside for turn 12, and Charlie there really stamps down on his authority there as Yuzi there makes contact with Charlie as they both try to go into turn 12 together. Too wide in there does work, but both drivers have to give each other the room as we now head down towards turn number 17 there. You see there Mays just taking advantage of Graham's early braking. He's now up back into the points, and this is important for Mays because he needs to score as many points as possible. Of course, he's on the super soft tyres, the option 3 tyres for now, and that looks like a Toro Rosso coming into the pits. It's Yuzi on the hypersofts. They've only lasted to the end of lap 3. That's going to be a concern for the teams involved, especially for the front runners.
No, especially it definitely will be, Kieran. And also, just like touching that battle there, you obviously had Uzi, the unwilling victim, and a Swiss cheese sandwich between both the Saubers. Mays showing himself to be the ultimate opportunist as he goes past Graham into 9th place. So Mays already in the points, running the alternative strategy, running the option 3 tyre this phase of the race. So it'll be interesting now, especially for the other drivers who are running on the ultra soft Kieran. Will they need to pit in this lap or the next lap? And there's a potential possibility for the undercut, because the gap between all the drivers is not big. It's, you know, it's like around about a second and a half. You know, you have to think as well, if you are going to take the race to somebody, your opponent is in front of you, you're going to have to come in earlier, take the fight to them, get the undercut, and try and see if you can make your next phase of the race last longer. As we just see Spike going up the inside of White, sorry, down into the after the DRS section there as we come down into turn 12. So Spike gets the move, so now he's going to try and chase after Recon. He's been hanging behind White for a few laps now. Must have been seeing if White could get much more performance out of his tyres. Obviously Spike on the option 2 tyre, he's going to have more grip, more performance out of those tyres as we get into this phase of the race as the ultra soft starts to die off.
Yeah, it was a crucial move for Spike as well. He knew he had to get past White, crucial for the strategy, because those on the hypersofts, it's very likely they'll have to try and make a 2-stop work. If they can make those hypersofts last any further than lap number 6, which is just a lap away, then they might have a chance of putting on some option 3 tyres, the super softs, and try and get into the end. Meanwhile, Dave M is coming into the pits, and those tyres look a little bit worse for wear, I think. There's been a couple of lockups on those tyres for sure, but a new front wing then for Dave M. He's made contact out there somewhere, so on go another set of hyper soft tyres. So that's a confirmed 2-stop then for the reserve Mercedes driver as he makes his way down the exit of pit lane. Siege then sets the A logo fastest lap of the race. Of course, we are sponsored by Weak Wi-Fi Solutions.
Man on the move, Light, he's got double slipstream behind White and Spike, so he could be the Force India going for a move up the inside here. Is he close enough into the first DRS zone? He might not be. He's going to make full use of the ultra soft tyres. He's got the better grip, the better performance this phase of the race. Is he close enough? No, he's just not close enough. He's given half a second. DRS going to be wide open again on the Haas. He's going to have a look at White. White's decided to start being more defensive. We can also see how Spike's also got further away from him. No, Light's just not close enough there as we approach turn 12.
Well, it's a big battle there for second place, and White has just found a bit of pace seemingly out of nowhere. Still able to keep up with the Mercedes of Spike, of course, in the DRS. That will help. I wonder with these tyre temperatures, of course, here in Yas Marina, the time goes on, the sun goes down, and that means in general the track temperature starts to cool down a bit. I wonder if the drivers who've started on softer tyres will kind of regret that, because the track temperature tends to fall here in Yas Marina towards the end of the race.
Yeah, it does, Kieran, and I'm quite surprised that White decided to stick out for another lap, because we did see just the lap before that the drivers who own those tyres were deciding to come in, and unfortunately for White, it's going to be very important for him to get past White. As we see him now go over the line, the gap is now 5 tenths, now 4 tenths, so the previous lap it was 1.1 and the gap came right down as White's got it within 2 tenths. He's flying up to the back of the Haas. Surely he's going to be easy meat down the back straight with the DRS open, Kieran, so the Force India is going to be looking for third place so that he can get his tyres further into the race and try and get after that Mercedes in second.
Yeah, we just saw George Roberts retire from the final race of the season, and he's lost it between turns 20 and 21 in Sector 3, so hard luck for him then. His season ends tonight, so he'll be now looking towards Thursday now and the Cup if he's able to join us for it. If not, then he'll hope then season 14 he'll have done enough to attract the attention of the team heading towards the new game. Riding on board with Light E then as we head through turns 11, 12 and 13. Blaster picks up a 3-second time penalty. So does Light E actually as well. So these time penalties will take into effect at the end of the race. Remember, Spike has one as well. He has a 3-second time penalty. Recon meanwhile, pass. I don't know that one, but we can always check later on in the race for all those penalties and see how it affects the championship battles between some of these drivers. As it stands then, Spike will finish runners-up in the in season 13, which is it'll be another trophy for his cabinet, and I'm sure it's not the one he wanted, but he will walk away this season with a Constructors' Trophy in hand. That was decided quite some time ago, especially in fact at the US Grand Prix it was decided, as we now head down towards turn 5 then. Has Spike done enough to keep his seat at Mercedes, Tej? What do you reckon?
It's a funny one, isn't it? Could Mercedes be looking to try and get an alternative driver in there? Could Jack be keeping his seat? Is that going to block Spike out? It'd be interesting. I think he's definitely deserved to keep his seat, but whether he does or not is another question. As we just come down the DRS straight, Kieran, I've just noticed this last lap while I've been watching the Light E and White battle, is that White, when Light does get close enough to him, it's like Light just appears to be running wide, hence why he got the 3-second penalty. I'm wondering if it's his turbulent air and possibly lowering the downforce is making him run wider a lot of corners. Obviously we've seen that he get a 3-second time penalty, but he just doesn't seem to be able to get close enough. The gap gets down to 2-3 tenths, and then when he gets closer, you see White still firing through the corners. He's actually dropped the gap down to Spike, so those tyres might not be going off. Oh, the Haas are just very good at looking after the tyres because they've still got a lot of fight in him. Spike's not exactly run off into the distance away from him, so fascinating battle for the podium spaces, Kieran. Second and third, you have to presume at this phase of the race, especially with Recon being 3.3 seconds ahead, is that he might be covering off one of the podium places, but the other two, Spike, White and Light E, definitely in the mix. You want to see Light E once again, Kieran. I'm not sure if you noticed that. He ran wide coming out of the penultimate corner, and the gap has now opened up to a second. So, as a Recon pits, Kieran, so I'm sorry I've been talking and rambling so much that we've missed the leader going to the pit. So he pits from the second option tyres. I'm not quite sure what tyres is coming on, Kieran. Can you pick that up?
Yeah, option 2 tyres, ultra softs for Recon then. So that looks like it's going to be a 2-stop for the Williams driver. Of course, he started on those hyper soft tyres. So 2-stop confirmed then for the Williams driver. We were actually just watching the stream then as Mays is making some moves. He's now up to 5th place. He got past his teammate Alan Kay. Seemingly that was team orders. Let's look at Recon now trying to go up the inside of Charlie. Then now around the outside he'll be up the hairpin of turn 7. Let's look at this now. Side by side they run, and he will have the DRS then as we head down the back straight towards turn 8. As actually, no, Recon doesn't have the DRS. Charlie could have a move back here. Recon instantly goes defensive then, down towards turn 8 to try and break the slipstream between himself and the Sauber. The Sauber breaks late though, but runs wide into turn 8. Can't quite grab the apex of turn 9, and Recon has held on to 6th place then. Alan Kay, meanwhile, during that battle between Mays, Charlie and himself, he did drop back. Alan Kay, he originally let his teammate through, it seemed. He didn't put up too much of a battle, but then Mays just got a move on Charlie as he ran wide on the exit of turn 13, as Recon's now set his sights on Mays as we now head through 15, through 16, and towards the braking zone of turn 17 as Lighty gets another 3-second time penalty. That will be added to the end of his race. 21 laps here still to go, now down to 20 laps to go, and 20 laps of the season to go as well. Meanwhile, Recon is going to try and go round the outside at turn 20 on Mays. Can he keep it between the white lines then? Mays still putting up the battle then as we head towards turn 21, but he backs out of it and thinks, you know what, I don't want to ruin my own strategy here, and sort of lets Recon go, and up to 5th place he goes. Recon asserting his authority there. Meanwhile then, White, it's lap number 9, he's still on the hyper soft tyres, the option 1 tyres. Those tyres must be screaming in agony, but I tell you what, he's keeping up with Spike.
Yeah, barking like Labradors in the backyard. The tyres will be screaming to be changed. Put some more tyres on. You can see the tyres, they're lasting so far, so could be a dark horse of potential race win, Kieran. But it's like to touch on Recon there, an audacious move around the outside of Mays. You obviously saw that the race could be going away from him, especially now that he was squabbling with Charlie and Mays as well. So you can see the gap has actually opened up to Mays to 2 seconds, so we see just how important it was for Recon to get a move on and get through. And now we'll have a quick look at the leaders, and Spike is only 6/10 coming through turn 12 ahead of White, so White is definitely making the performance, lasting these tyres, and we see that Spike is really pushing it round the corners. As we saw in the qualifying, the back end of that Mercedes is dancing everywhere, so he's throwing full beans at it. He's trying to get as good performance as he can from that Mercedes, but White is going absolutely nowhere. The Haas team on the pit wall must be absolutely delighted with the driver's performance to get so much use out of these tyres.
Absolutely, and they'll be wondering when he'll actually pit, because I'm sure they had the strategy in line. And look at this, Spike and White come in. So this looks like Spike now will go onto a set of super soft tyres, but what tyre will White go onto? If the strategy works, then it should be the super soft, the option 3 tyres, as we now head with the Haas then down the pit lane. What tyres, importantly, has Spike put on? It's ultra soft, so it's a 2-stop then from Spike, presumably. And look at that then, White has jumped Spike in the pit lane. White is ahead of Spike as they make their way now out of the pit lane. Crucial by the Haas team. Really good job from them. And Mercedes will be absolutely kicking themselves. As look at that now, Dave M rejoins ahead of White then. He's already made his stop, of course, and he's on 5-lap-old Hypersoft tyres. Those weren't the tyres he started on either. So Dave M here might be looking to try and just hold up the Haas for a little bit here and try and help out Spike at the moment. Meanwhile, White's teammate Sean is in the lead of the race. Of course, he's yet to stop. Recon is in 2nd place. He has stopped. And Mays is in 3rd place, yet to stop in this race. He's 6.3 behind Recon. Sean here, White looking around the outside at turn 8. He's on those fresher tyres. He'll have the inside at turn 9. And he just about makes it through, but Spike runs into the back of White then. Well, does he have damage on that front wing, I wonder? DRS is now open.
No damage.
No damage for Spike then as he looks around the outside here as we head now down towards turn 11. Round the outside we go then side by side as the Haas there looks to try and be assertive here. Now he's got the inside for turn 13. Down towards turn 14 we go, and White then makes his stance clear. He's not letting Spike through that easily, but now Spike is having a look now up the inside at turn 17 again. Has to back out of it. He's got to be careful with these half-hearted moves, because it's half-hearted moves like that that can cause the most crashes. Then Recon takes the race leader. Sean pits in. Mays now will go up to 2nd place, and he stays out on those super soft tyres. Doing a really good job on that stint at the moment. Meanwhile then, Spike and White battling away. Spike's got a really good exit out of turn 21 on the run now down towards turn 1. Of course, no DRS here. Spike and White side by side as they head through turn 1. Still side by side now. Spike has the inside for turn 2, but he'll have the outside for turn 3. Will he try a cut back now as we head now through turn 4? And now down towards turn 5. He's still got the inside line then. Tries to break as late as he possibly can. White still hanging in on the inside. They touch wheels there, but Spike this time has the DRS. You saw that white line there. That's the detection point. So that means Spike will have the DRS this time, and White, being 1.9 behind Dave, will not have the DRS. Here we go then, down towards turn 8. White does the best he possibly can. He moves to the right-hand side and tries to defend as well. And Light E trying to go now round the outside. 3 wide, almost in towards turn 8 there, as the Force India now tries to make a move up the inside of Spike. Spike holds his ground around the outside of turn 9. Fantastic battling between these 3 right now. And honestly, I did not see Light E coming. He's come out of nowhere. He's now going to try around the outside of Spike then. In towards turn 11 we go. As White then somehow... He tried to go around the outside, tried to hit the Roman Grosjean line in towards turn 11 and go beyond the curve. It's cost him a 3-second time penalty there. And White then will be feeling aggrieved here. He's lost 2 positions in 1 sector.
Yeah, it's offside, Kieran, when he came up too close behind Dave. Dave was not going to give that position up, and rightfully so. Even though they both pitted once, it was his position to lose and White's position to gain. But what fantastic driving it was, that last lap and a half, Kieran. It's not finished yet either, because he's got White coming back at him. Well, nearly getting stuck with the pronunciation. There's Light runs White once again. That's 3 penalties, so it's going to affect his race come the end. But at the moment, he's battling out for 4th place. I must say, Kieran, what a fantastic battle that was. That's why we give up our Tuesday evenings from 8 o'clock to watch and bring to you, the viewers, fantastic wheel-to-wheel racing like we just witnessed between Spike, White and Light. Absolutely fantastic. And White's going to have a look up the inside of turn 5. He decides better of it. He decides to want to save it to the DRS. He comes quite close to Light there. Just letting him know he's there. He's tied to the inside. He's not going to wait for the DRS. You can see his race falling away from him. As you can see, Spike, Maze and Dave running out ahead, and White thinks to himself, I want to get in it. I want to get involved, because Light on the super soft, he's only going to stop the once, and he's already done that, so it's vitally important for the Haas to get through. But as we can see, Light has the DRS from the cars in front of him. An absolute barnstormer of a battle between 2nd to 6th place, Q, and this is the kind of entertainment we want to see.
Absolutely, and I thought Light there couldn't make a move down the inside of Maze, then in towards turn 8. He backed out of it, and again, it's those half-hearted moves, it's those lapses of concentration that can cost you, as that was White then almost running into the back of Light E. There's the nose cam as we head towards turn 14, come very close once again to the gearbox of Light E then. And as you say, Light E on the super soft tyres, he's not planning to stop again, so any position he is in now is really beneficial to himself and disastrous for anyone around him. That's White, who's really feeling the wrath of it right now. And well, Recon at the moment leading the way, remember 12.6 ahead. Meanwhile then, Light gets away past in towards turn 20 on the inside of Maze, and White then also says thank you very much, I'll take that position from you. It's Light E versus White. It's not the easiest names in the battle here. We're bound to get confused between the 2 of them, but Light E leading the way then of this battle then in 4th place, White in 5th, and Maze then, who's yet to stop of course, he's doing that long stint on the super softs, in 6th place. Light E of course in 4th place on 12 points right now. That's Maze in 6th on 8 points, which means then that Light E, I don't think will be able to get that position in the championship. Of course, Maze on 105 points, Light E on 93.
Mercedes swapping places there, and Spike goes past Dave. Dave doesn't put up a fight, so team orders in play as Dave decides to let him through, because so it's vital now for Spike. If Dave can get himself in the battle between Light and White as he did earlier on, to try and cause White to slow down so Spike can get some place, get some space between the 2 of them, as White's going to try and have another look at White. White's going to have another look at Light as we come down to turn 12. No, he's just not close enough. DRS closed now, so he's going to have to try and stick with him through the slower section. Light playing this race fantastically well so far. He's on the harder tyre as White goes up the inside, but another half-hearted move, as we've previously alluded to, which doesn't pay off, as we see Light now catching up to Dave. It's not the easiest names to pronounce, I'll tell you that, Kieran. I'm getting them both confused now. Light, White and White, Light.
Absolutely. Well, Light E is holding on to 4th place at the moment. White, meanwhile, now as they head down towards turn 20 and then towards turn 21, remember, along the main straight, there's no DRS as White now tries the inside of turn 21. That was never going to happen. Again, a half-hearted move, which almost cost both their races there. As White now heads down towards turn 1. This is frustration. You can see how frustrated White is getting. He's overdriven turn 1. That's going to cost him time as well. And this is just playing into Lighty's hands. The longer he can hold White behind, the better.
Yeah, Light's going to be in the DRS of Dave M now. Dave M obviously in the season tyres. He's going to have to be stopping as soon as Light looks to try and go up the inside before they reach the DRS zone. Very audacious move up the inside there. He's going to give White an opportunity behind him. Thankfully for Light, he's got the DRS off Dave, so he's going to try and get through before they reach the corner. Let's see if Dave puts up a more of a fight than what he did to his teammate. No, he doesn't. So Dave obviously, in the nicer driver there, not deciding to put up a fight. Unfortunately for White, he's going to get caught up behind the Mercedes now. It's vitally important as well, this section. Obviously Light doesn't have DRS, so Dave will come back at him. So Light's going to position his car on the outside. He's going to try and show Dave to the outside now. Light coming off the inside, Dave on the outside, and Light just decides to cover off the position as White hits the back of Dave once again. He needs to be very careful with Haas and not losing end plate before the end of the race, and that could be tragedy for his race, which obviously we don't want to happen. And I'm also just thankful, Kieran, I might as well mention it now, that Spike is not called Sprite, because then we could be in for a right mouthful. Sprite, Light and White, but then all battling for position.
Well, oh, there's a little bit of contact there between the Haas and the Mercedes there as Dave M tagged the wall, and that is a front end plate missing on the right hand side, and that's a trip to the pit lane for Dave M. That was weird because he hit it on the left hand side. Very strange. But the Mercedes crew are out. Maybe this was a scheduled stop for Dave M anyway, and it was. And it looks like, yeah, it was a scheduled stop. So I wonder if there was any damage actually to that front wing. Maybe if there was, the team haven't had a chance to replace it. Meanwhile then, up ahead, we've got Siege then closing in on Maze. And remember, this is an important battle. 5 points separate these two in the championship for 5th place. So Siege will be wanting to make this move on Maze. But remember, Siege has already stopped once. Maze hasn't stopped at all this race. He's only going to stop once. So it's vital for Siege to make this move on Maze as quickly as he possibly can. He's got the DRS zone as they're running now down towards turn 8. Doesn't look like he's got the pace here down this straight to try and have a move. Braking zone of turn 8 and then turning into turn 9. Will be crucial here because he's a lot closer to Maze now. Careful on the inside curve there. That sleeping policeman can really unsettle the car, but you can see here Siege is a lot closer to Maze than he was down towards turn 8. You can see here he's gaining on Maze, moves to the left hand side, braking zone coming up in towards turn 11, and that looks like Siege has got the position. It was vital that he got away past. Maze then looking for a move back through the S section there, but couldn't quite find it. Sean, meanwhile, look at this. He's got a much better exit out of turn 14, round the outside of 15 and goes, and Maze doesn't put up a fight then. Sean up to 6th place. Opportunistic driving there from Sean, and it's paid off. Now he's got Siege ahead of him, and now he could try and use that DRS to just try and pull himself along a little bit. Sean, I don't think, well, he's on the super softs, the option 3 tyres. He's not going to plan to stop again, as there you can see Siege, after all that battling, comes into the pits now. Don't be surprised to see him go on to another set of ultra soft, the option 2 tyres. I believe he started on the hyper softs. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Tej. They'll come in now. We'll find out what tyres it goes on to. And, yep, it will be another set of ultra soft tyres. So the option 2 tyres go on. And out of the pit lane he'll go. So he'll be able to take those to the end of the race then. 13 laps to go of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Recon leads with Spike in 2nd, Lighty in 3rd, with White in 4th. We're watching that battle right now for 3rd place. White then has the DRS then as we head down towards turn 8. Where will he go? Then he'll move to the right hand side. That's unorthodox. Trying to go now round the outside at turn 8. Leaves his braking late and goes off the track. Rejoins it then after turn 9, and he'll get himself a 3-second time penalty. He's got no intention though of slowing down for that one. Actually, he's moving to the side there. Nope, I tell a lie. He is going to let Lighty back through. Oh, and they touched there. They touched there. Yeah, absolutely. Down towards turn 11. But White got himself a 3-second time penalty. He's got himself another one in the space of 2 seconds. He's now going to try and go down the inside of 14. He's got to be careful here. He's still in with a chance of getting a good result, even with these time penalties, if he keeps his focus and the red mist doesn't descend. But it looks like it has down towards turn 17. Braking really late there, and I think this red mist of White here has fully descended down towards turn 17 now, or turn 19. as Lighty picks up a 3-second time penalty, and he's slowing right down there. I don't think he's too happy with White there, and I totally understand why. The red mist descended on White there. He wanted that move. He was frustrated with those 3-second time penalties, 2 of them in 1 lap. And, well, he's got his move.
I can see why Kim, because at the end of the DRS zone, White did run him out of room, so obviously you don't really want that when you're racing, and unfortunately for White, I mean, it's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. Obviously White didn't take too kindly, somewhat besmirched, decided to come at Light, give him a bit of his treatment back, and unfortunately for White, it's decided to cost him 6 seconds, as we see Charlie in the Saab. Unfortunately for Charlie, he's been one of the more impressive drivers over the last few weeks. Unfortunately, he's retired from the race on lap 17 of 28. Very unfortunate. The other drivers just going past him now, and they carry on. As we see Light in 4th place, White in 3rd, Light in 4th, TTG Sean just running along very nicely, Kieran. He's on the super soft, 6 laps in. He's not going to have to stop again, so I'm just going to speculate now with Recon having to pit again. It's going to, at the moment, it's going to be about 17 to 20 seconds ahead of Light and possibly Sean, if Sean can keep on his laps together. So we could be in for a good finale in the race, Kieran. It depends how it goes. But while we've been watching the battle between Spike, White, Light and Dave at the time, what I did notice, and just come back to me now, is that Recon decided to pull out a gap of 13.7. It just shows you how vitally important it is in this tier, Kieran. If you are battling, try not to make it last because you're going to cost yourself time in the long run, and regardless of whether you're squabbling or not, it's vitally important in the race to try and just, treat your opponent with respect, to get through and get onward to try and get a clean air, because as we've seen for Recon, it's played right into his hands, the squabbling behind him, and he now pulls out a gap of 30.8 seconds, which is going to be vitally important when he comes in for his second stop.
11 laps to go here, so we are expecting Recon to stop again, as with Spike and White, because, well, making those tyres last 20 laps is, well, you're looking at a miracle there, as Siege then 1:37.1. That is the A logo fastest lap of the race. Of course, TTL F1 is sponsored by Weak Wi-Fi Solutions, who also sponsor the driver voted driver of the day, and A logo, who provide all the graphics, sponsor the fastest lap of the race. And as we see Recon then making his way through 11, 12 and 13 on the run towards turn 14, looking for his second race win this season. And I tell you what, it's been a stunning start to his TTL F1 career. Promoted from TTL F2, champion of that, as he was decided quite early on actually that he was the champion of that. I think as early as round 15, if I'm right in saying that. It was either round 15 or round 14 out of 21. He dominated F2. He's come to F1 and made his mark, and at the moment leads the final race of season 13.
Yeah, he's been a blessing to the tier, Kieran. He's been absolutely fantastic since he's joined from Singapore onwards, and he's put strong performances on the last few weeks. Unfortunately, Mexico, he went side by side with Siege, and it cost him his race. He bounced back with a strong performance on the podium last time out in Brazil, and it's good to see him running so well here at Abu Dhabi. It gets the viewers and ourselves, Kieran, licking our lips and what we could have in prospect next season when Recon goes up against the defending champion Jack, as Light has decided to pick Kieran. So I'm just wondering if he might have got a bit of damage to his wing. We did expect him to go to the end on the super soft, so let's just see what tyres he decides to put on. And he just come back out in 6th place and he puts the ultra softs on. So interesting tactic there by Otmar Zafnauer on the Force India pit wall, deciding to pull his driver in, get him out of the battle and try and find some clean air. Let's see where they're dropping him back in as Siege goes through into 6th place in the Red Bull. He is going to come out ahead of Maze, so yeah, he's just behind Siege in the Red Bull. He's ahead of Maze, so the strategy's worked to get the Force India back out where he is.
Yeah, but Siege here is right in front of him, and as we head in towards the DRS zone now, Lighty's going to have plenty of it. He'll have the slipstream now going down towards turn 8. It's of course up a crest, and it's a slight left down the straight then. It's not really shown on the map, but the tarmac sort of fades away on the right hand side as we see Lighty. Now is he going to try and make a move up the inside? He is. He tries to make the move. A little bit of contact between himself and the Red Bull then as we head towards turn 9, and that is Siege then hopping over the curb then, which understeered him into Lighty there. And Lighty here's got to be careful. He's on those fresher tyres, sure, but he needs to keep that front wing intact then, as Siege defends then as we head down towards turn 11 there, and Lighty runs into the back of Siege, and he'll be getting more and more frustrated as this battle goes on. Of course, he had that battle with White. They probably pulled him in to try and get new tyres on and try and get a fresh set and a fresh mindset for Lighty. That hasn't worked at the moment. He's rejoined in yet another battle, which is not what the Force India team wanted. Recon, meanwhile, has pitted in, and he's going to rejoin on a set of hyper soft tyres. Is he going to rejoin in front of White then? You'll see on the left-hand side that Williams, yes, he has. Recon rejoins ahead of White, so that was important for Williams as well. I wonder then if he'll make those hypersoft tyres last. Of course, lower fuel load, lower track temperature. Might just be able to get those temperatures in check then. We have seen other drivers get 9-10 laps out of these tyres. I wonder if Recon can do it towards the end of the race here.
Yeah, that'll be important for Recon to just nurse the tyres. He knows he's got the gap once the other guys start to stop again. As light goes right over the curbs into turn 4, he needs to calm himself down now as he just runs straight through turn 5. He's going to crash the car, and that is very unfortunate, Kieran. I spoke about it before we went on air, and I spoke about it now. It's very unfortunate that the Force Indians, these last few races, they've qualified well, and unfortunately for them, the races have fell apart as we've just seen Light speculatively retires his car on purpose, which is not what we like to see, but it's unfortunate, and hopefully if he is back in Formula 1 next season, he puts together stronger performances, because we know he does have the quality of the wheel-to-wheel racing. Just unfortunate under these circumstances to see the way he's retired.
And they did say at the start of the stream that, you know, we don't normally see, and we never see cars flip there, and well, that's exactly what we saw with
yeah.
Lighty then. Hopefully he wasn't hanging there like a cow, but as you say, yes, it is sad to see him retire like that, and I'm sure the league chat will not have heard the end of that one as we head towards a new season. And Spike's got himself a 5-second stop go for speeding in the pit lane. He'll be kicking himself about that one. That'll be added to the end of his race. In he comes for his pit stop. On go a set of hyper soft tyres. White then it's now into second place. He surely won't be able to make those tyres last to the end, and even if he does, there is Spike then making his way just out of the pit lane exit. He's actually going to rejoin behind Sean, who is not planning to stop again. Dave as well. As so Spike then is going to rejoin in 5th place, so he's got to be careful here with those tyres. He's got 8 laps of running to do on them. Possible, definitely. But obviously you can take the pace out of them very early on, and you're left with something but the canvas.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a slog for him to get himself back up there to second place, Q, and obviously he wants second place to the constructors. Regardless of Ollie being here or not, it looks like it's going to be difficult for him to come back from the position he finds himself in. Because obviously Dave is a 4.1 second ahead of Spike, and obviously ahead of him you've got Sean, who's 5.6 ahead. And I'll tell you what, just touch on Sean, Q, we haven't really mentioned him too much this race. Is that he's just going about his business. He's doing what he's done most weekends. You know, he is up to 4th in the championship, and because he's consistent, he will get his car there or thereabouts. He keeps out the squabbles, and as we can see, it's bearing the fruits as he currently runs 3rd place on the podium behind his teammate White.
Yeah, he's had 2 podiums this season, and well deserved as well, as he's showing his qualities then as we head with Dave down towards turn 17. Remember, he's on those ultra soft tyres, option 2 tyres, so he should in theory be quicker than Sean. Recon then 135.5 sets the fastest lap of the race, the A logo fastest lap of the race, as Dave M then heads towards turn 20 and then through turn 21. As you see there, Sean defending the apex there in style there, and Dave really had nowhere to go but the outside. As we now head down towards turn 1, you can see there Sean is wanting to defend this position. He's parking it on the apex and driving the widest pass here at Yas Marina.
Yeah, he's as wide as the track is. As you see, Sean's going to put up a fight. He's not going to let the Mercedes. If David looks to try and come underneath him, he decides to hit the bollard. Unfortunately for him, it's cost him a 3-second time penalty. Maybe just showed a bit of patience, being a bit more circumspect over the battle, and he could have just waited for the DRS to open. But he also knows that the clutches of his teammate are right there as well. As Spike brings himself into contention, Dave goes up the inside. Sean tries to cover him off, but Dave thinks better of it. He thinks, I'm going to go through, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. And now Sean gets the car stopped just in time to make the corner. He's going to have the DRS back as he comes to try and have a go at Dave, but he's also brought the attention of Spike. Spike's from the scene on the fresher tyres. Sean's going to send him round the outside. Spike's going to try and drive right round him. He's going to try to take the racing line off him. He's got the braking zone. Sean tucks in behind. Fantastic move by Spike, and the Mercedes drivers are both on the move.
Absolutely, and I wonder how long Dave will actually keep Spike behind him. I wonder if there's team orders here as Dave is actually, I think he was trying to move to the right hand side there to let Spike through, but oh, that could have ended in calamity. Oh, as it still might down towards turn 17. Dave M was not in control under the brakes there. I think Spike had a little bit of a heart stop there, but he is up to third place with very little drama in the end. But yeah, that looked a little bit suspect there from Dave. He did try and let Spike through. Just a breakdown of communication there. Luckily, both cars intact, both cars with no damage, and both survive to fight their respective battles then. So the difference between Spike finishing third in the championship and Spike finishing second is 5 seconds. Can he make that up with what we have left of the race? It's 6 laps to go, 4.8 seconds. You can see the hearts there of White heading now down towards turn 7. Of course, we have those penalties to add on as well, and I wondered, Tej, if we could just quickly go through the penalties on your end and see how this really shakes up the battles.
Yes, sir. Let's have a quick look so I can go through now. I'll try and accumulate the points. The second, sorry. So Spike's got 3. Again.
And remember, he's also got that 5-second stop go for speeding in the pit lane.
Yeah, so 8 seconds. No, he's got. Oh,
Graham's out. Graham's out of the race then. I wonder if Yuzi was involved in that one as well. But Graham then is out of the race. We see the yellow flags coming down towards turn 5, and I don't see the car anywhere. So bizarre one then from Graham, but he is out. So, well, you make it to the finish now, and you score some points. So that's a positive there. So yeah, Spike, 8 seconds worth of penalties at least.
No, 14.
14.
And White's got 12, so it's going to be a case of who doesn't get disqualified.
Well, it could be. I mean, it's been one of those days. So, well, Spike here has just got to be careful. He's got to keep it on the grey stuff, on the island, and not on any of the blue stuff, the green stuff, anything like that. As you say, Tej, you get that many penalties, you do run the risk of being disqualified altogether.
Yeah, Spike's actually come right to the back of White this phase of the race, Kieran. Obviously, the ultra shots must be at the cliff now because the gap's come down by 3 seconds to 1.4. So Spike's definitely in contention to take second place. He then would need to really get his legs in motion and run off because he needs to get in the distance to avoid getting the penalties. And unfortunately for him, it looks like the elusive second place in the driver's stand could go begging unless he decides to pump some really strong lap times in as he's in the DRS behind White. Has he come down the section now? Is he close enough? No, he's just not close enough. He's going to try and get the DRS in the run down to turn 12. Just get the car nice and tight, foot to the left, open the corner up, really throw it in to get that DRS wide open, which is what he does. And he's behind White now. Where's he going to go? White's going to try and send him around the outside. We've seen that most of the time this race, but no. Spike's goes straight at the inside. White opens the door right at the end of the straight and says, "On you go, pal. I think you've got more penalties than me and I'll overtake you come the end of the race."
Well, that could be a decision that might haunt White for the rest of the race, and as we see Sean then pick up a 3-second time penalty. I think at this point we'll just have to wait till the checkered flag to see who is going to come where in this race, and we'll use the end of the race to decide who has won the battles for second place and the battles for 5th place and further down the field as well. What we can say for sure though is Recon only has around 3 seconds worth of penalties. He leads the race then, so even if he had 17 seconds worth of penalties, he's still leading this race, and with 4 laps to go, looks very, very comfortable out there.
He certainly does, Kieran. I've spoke about him in glowing reference over these last few weeks, and I definitely think he's going to be one to keep an eye on for next season as he finishes the season finale, the season in fantastic style with a podium at Brazil, and it looks like he could be on to get the top step of the podium. Convincing performance once again, Kieran. 18.4 seconds. The eyes of the Formula 1 grid and world will be on Recon as we go post-season. What team could he end up in, Kieran?
Well, I mean, he has shown some talent. You know, he's won TTL F2. He's now finding himself leading the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Already a race win this season. Could make it 2 as we head towards season number 14. And, well, he's had a successful start to his career. The important thing is now is that he tries to get a drive with one of those top teams who can really push for not only the Drivers' Championship, but for the Constructors' Championship as well. So, well, I don't know who's going to be in the race for Recon, but I imagine some of the top teams will have him on speed dial, that's for sure.
Absolutely. It could be the man who I currently got on the picture. It could be Spike. It could be his car. It could be sitting in that car. Could we have the number 6 of the Williams on the number 6 of the Mercedes come next season? One can only speculate on one day. Is this the kind of rumours and talk we're going to get in the post-season? And if it is, Kieran, it's definitely something to look forward to and start putting your fantasy grid together, because I tell you what, with this grid next season, it's going to be fantastic. You're going to have the returning F1 champion, Jack. He's going to be back to defend his crown. He's going to have to defend it against all comers. You've got the quality of Recon, Spike, White, Dave, Sean, Siege, Maze. You've got a quality grid, and I'm really looking forward to watching it all unfold next season.
Absolutely, and the way the format runs next season will change slightly. More on that as it comes through. That's all I can say for now. Meanwhile then, Dave is closing on White ahead of him as he now head in towards turn 6 and on the run towards the hairpin of turn 7. Dave M here could have a podium in that Mercedes, and well, that would throw a spanner into the works, that's for sure. As Dave M now into the slipstream and into the DRS he goes with 3 laps to go. He knows this move on White separates himself from the podium places at the moment as we now head down towards turn 8, and White breaks early, and Dave M runs in the back of him. That's an end plate off. I don't know which side, but it looks like the right hand side. As Dave M now tries to go up the outside of White then, as White defends aggressively then, and Dave M actually lets him back through as they now run down towards turn number 11. So Dave M then, it looks like the right hand side, that front wing there, has taken a knock. Shouldn't be enough to get him into the pits. He should be able to make it to the end of the race, but White there is struggling.
Gone. He's lost another part of his end plate and made the slightest of contact through that corner there. It's unfortunate now because we've seen a few incidents this race. It's like the red of White quite fittingly the front of his car is what attracts the bull, and unfortunately he's been in the walls this race with collisions with Light, contact with Spike, and it looks like Dave lost a bit of his end plate, squabbling with the Haas, battling for that vital final podium place. And I must say, Dave, a driver we've not been too familiar with, he's definitely been a fantastic understudy to Jack. Good strong performance for the Mercedes driver this week. It's not a regular occurrence for him to be in this car, but he's done himself no qualms going into next season.
Absolutely, he's not giving up on this battle though, even with that damage. You can see it now, much more damaged right hand side of that front wing. He is not giving up at all. It will make him quicker in a straight line, funnily enough. You say that, it might actually give him that straight line speed that he needs to hold on. There's not many high speed corners at this track. They're mainly all low speed, so actually this could do him the world of good then. Into the slipstream he goes once again, into the DRS zone, moves right over to the left-hand side and makes sure no wheel banging happens on the run down towards turn 8. Dave M here has the corner in towards turn 8, through turn 9 he goes, and he's got the move done. And I tell you what, he's got the move done with bit of front wing end plate off on the right hand side, but it's probably given that straight line speed he needed to get past, and now he can focus on those low speed corners where he knows he's got the grip.
Absolutely, Kieran. It was also close enough. White obviously knew the battle was done when Dave was coming up alongside halfway down the straight with DRS wide open. He obviously thought, I won't put up a fight, I'll feel quite comfortable with 4th, and obviously the Hasses are running 4th and 5th at the moment, so a nice return to form for the Haas parent, as Sean's made the one-stop strategy work as well. He's coming in with 3.3 behind his teammate. Obviously White might have a few penalties, so he could sneak up above into the top 4. He's also bringing Siege along with him in the Red Bull, so Siege is not done yet. He's behind Sean and Ultrasoft. He's going to try and eke the tyres out for another 2 laps as we approach the final lap, Kieran, and what has been an absolutely fantastic...
that's Siege out! Siege out at the final corner. The back end just completely went.
Commentator's curse.
And the Red Bull is in the wall. That is 5th place in the championship gone. Any chance of it now has evaporated. Maze there might just have been seeing that. That's a free position for him. He's now up to 6th place. And that could be crucial then, because that's the battle with White then. As now we head with Recon down towards turn 11. And you can see there again, really pushing his luck on that curb then. Not penalised for it. As we now head in towards 14, now coming towards turns 15, 16 and 17 for the final time this season. And they always say the final race of the season, even if you're not fighting for a championship, is really important. It can really set up your momentum for the next season. Recon then making his way through the final couple of corners as he runs down towards turns 20 and 21. The F2 champion is going to take his second race win in TTL F1. Recon wins in Yas Marina and he takes the checkered flag. He'll be absolutely delighted with that. Race win number 2 in his career, and what a win, what a race he had. He pretty much dominated that one. Spike then making his way around the final corner now. Can he hold on? Can he grab the runners-up trophy in this season? He'll have those penalties added on, and it's almost 13 seconds, 14 seconds as you say, because the gap between them now is 30. That's right, 30 seconds. Here comes Dave then coming around the final corner. Reserve driver, not bad for it. He'll finish in 3rd place. White then finishes in 4th. What about Sean? No, he jumps up now. All the way to 3rd place. It's his 3rd podium of the season. What a race for him then.
That.
He really does deserve that. Mays then coming around the final corner. Has he done enough then to try and hold on to 5th place in the championship? He'll weave his way across the line, and I think he has, because White was 13 points behind. So Mays then captures 5th place in the championship. He'll be delighted with that one then. Plaster, we haven't seen or spoken about Plaster all race long, but look at him, 7th place in the Ferrari. And I'll tell you what, Ferrari were in a little bit of a crisis halfway through this season. Only 50 points when both their drivers left. They brought in Crazy and Plaster to finish off the season, and Plaster comes across the line in 7th place. Yuzi will finish in 8th place, and Alan Kay will cross the line 9th there, but he'll jump up to 8th place on penalties. But second win of the season, second of his career in TTL F1. Recon wins in Yas Marina.
Yeah, fantastic performance from Recon, as you alluded to, Kieran. Fantastic way to finish the season, also for himself to get that confidence going the next year. Fantastic performance ever since he's stepped up to the F1. He's the current reigning and defending F2 champion, and he'll be looking to add more to his trophy cabinet next season. So well done to him, and also well done to the podium finisher Sean. Another strong performance, 3rd podium of the season, and also a Spike for wrapping up number 2 position in the Drivers' Championship. I'd just like to add, Kieran, before I hand the microphone over, it's been an absolute pleasure commentating on this championship. It's been an absolute pleasure commentating with you on it as well. I know at times I've struggled to get my words out, but like I said, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's unfortunate that F1's just going to be Thursday night exclusively next season. It would be absolutely fantastic to commentate on this good, and who knows, I might be able to be free on the odd Thursday if Andy or yourself don't turn up. But like I say, I'd like to say thank you to the drivers, thank you to the admin team, thank you to yourself for giving me the opportunity, and it's been an absolute pleasure, so thank you very much.
Oh, you're making me blush. You stop that, Tej.
No
Recon then. The official, unofficial results. Recon wins, Spike 2nd, Short 3rd, Dave M 4th, White 5th, Mays 6th, Plaster 7th, Alan K 8th, Yuzi 9th, and Siege did not finish the race. That means he will not score that 1 point he would have had. But yeah, he lost the back end at the final corner on the penultimate lap, just about to start the final lap. He'll be absolutely kicking himself with that one. But yeah, as it stands then, Mays will secure 5th place in the championship, so he'll be happy with that one moving into next season. Recon will be really happy with his race win. Plaster 7th place. If that was his last drive for Ferrari this season, well, it's been a great drive for him. You know, he's been really drafted in, sort of the Luca Badoa style, really called on at the last minute, but he really has stepped up to the plate, scored some consistent points. And Crazy, although he's had only 2 race finishes, both in the points though, he's shown he does have the pace, especially on the wheel. It's not an easy thing to adapt to one of these things, especially when you've moved on from a controller. So he's been making some progress, and maybe we'll see him back for season 14 as well. Of course, Season 14, we have to wait now to the very new game. I can't wait that long, but if you're not, if you're waiting for Racing Battling that long, then maybe tune in on Thursday. I don't know whether it'll be Andy, I don't know whether it'll be Tej joining me for the, well, what was scheduled to be the mid-season Challenge Cup. Now it's the end-of-season Challenge Cup because of the difficulties we had connecting with PSN at the time. That's going to be in the 2008 McLaren's, the same one that Lewis Hamilton brought through a dramatic Brazilian Grand Prix to win his first World Championship, the first of many, that was for sure, and beat Felipe Massa at the final breaking point of the final lap lap of the final race of the championship.
Glock?
It might be Glock. No, we're not having that. No, it's not funny anymore. It is actually quite funny. So all that commentary drone and more as we head towards that Thursday. That will be at 8 p.m. BST. And Maze is correct me saying it's the Classic Cup. My apologies, Maze. Challenge Cup is normally at the end of the season. That's why. But it will be the Classic Cup this time around because that was scheduled for mid-season. But hopefully...
Mistake.
Yeah, well, easy mistake to make. Coming up then is what I believe will be the final Commentators' Corner for season number 13. So that's going to be pretty interesting. As always, thank you very much for joining us all. We will have Commentators' Corner in just a short bit of time. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit the notification bell so you're notified every time we go live, which should be in a couple of minutes as we head towards Commentators' Corner. Hopefully, we'll have 3 drivers joining us, both with different fortunes in the race. Hope to see you then. Don't go away from the channel.